Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name's Brian if you're new around here, but if you're a returning subscriber, how you doing? That's right. That's what you get for subscribing, by the way. A little bit of a cheesy greeting every time you come and check out these videos. Now, this video specifically, is going to be focusing in on my thoughts about the latest dev update for October. They've given an updated update to the roadmap. We haven't got a new roadmap, so we're going to talk kind of about the wins and the fails, what I took away from this. And a lot of this, if you guys haven't been following this channel, is overwhelmingly positive, but I do want to kind of weigh in with maybe a few disappointments here along the way. Now, you do not need to agree with me in terms of my disappointments. That's perfectly fine, but I'm going to share them anyway, just so you at least know where I stand, because at the end of the day, you know what? There could be things that this could have been a little bit better in my opinion, but I think we got a lot of really good stuff, and I want to summarize that for you guys at the start. We'll talk about a little bit of things that they want to improve, and then we'll, just generally wrap up this video towards the end. I think that's a good structure. You can let me know what you think about it. If you feel like these videos earn it, hitting that like button is a great way, helping out in the algorithm, YouTube comments as well. But anyway, I'm not here to waste your time. I'm clearly excited. So first and foremost, when they talk about the updated roadmap, Scott apologized that the leaderboards were not a part of the Brimstone update. He says that they were working on it. They wanted to make it a part of this update, but it just needs more time, and he did not commit to a date. So key aspect here, a lot of what they gave us in terms of roadmaps is what they're actively working on as their priorities. And that's where I want to transition into, I think, a really big win, a huge win for this roadmap, and it's cross-server play. Yes, it's coming. We've known that they've been looking at it since the spring, but they are going to implement cross-server play for OPR first. And the reason why they're going to do OPR first is to make sure that it works, to work out any issues with it, and then bring it out to the other content. I would think arenas. Honestly, we know that they're also talking about it for the expeditions, or the expedungeons, as we like to say. And this is, I think, going to be a key aspect. Now, the ultimate cross-server play would come into the form of being able to join anybody to play with your friends wherever they are. That's going to be more complex. We'll continue to explore that in discussions and any kind of news here for you guys on the channel. The reason being is that you have territory control. They spend a lot of time also talking about territory control, but we'll get to that in just a second. Now, beyond cross-server, they confirmed a springtime event like we are having right now with the Halloween event. We'll have the Winter Convergence return. We had the Summer Medley Fair. It looks like every season there's going to be at least one main major event. And if you guys haven't been seeing, they're talking about events in terms of major and minor. So major being Halloween, Convergence, Summer Medley Fair, and whatever the springtime event is. I think they might have named it, but forgive me for blanking on it in terms of my notes and in terms of my speech. Anyhow, then we've had minor events like we've seen kind of the hunting for corrupted rabbits and things like that. And hopefully we'll see the game, having lots of different events. In fact, we were going to be talking about some upcoming content creation events coming here soon in just a few minutes. Now, he did confirm they are working heavily on gear set management systems, and we do know from the podcast with Redbird and BDLG that they are working on controller support as well, but controller support will be following loadouts because it's the same team that's going to be working on them. I think that's the right prioritization, namely because we do have a stopgap in terms of Steam controller support, but this game I think really is going to benefit from controller support. You guys can ask me why. Maybe we'll explore more in another video, but I do have a video over on Ginger Prime talking about why I personally think controller support is important for MMORPGs. Now, they have also confirmed the sandworm that we see over in Brimstone Sands, which can kill you if it jumps up and basically you're standing on top of where its mouth would be, or at least hurt you. I know I've been hurt by the thing, and that's why I was like, I haven't seen it happen that often. Am I crazy? Did I misremember something? Thank goodness they confirmed I'm not as crazy as some people on the internet think I am, but the raid is going to be tied in with the giant sandworm. So that is going to be something related to that. They are actively obviously working on this because we did get information about that at the last dev update. So I'm excited to hear more about that as they get ready to show it. Again, no hard dates outside of that, the springtime event, most likely in the spring, Winter Convergence, in the winter, etc. They are working on something interesting, and I don't quite yet understand it. So if you heard something different, if you go watch the video itself, they're working on a new expedition, which they say they're combining Starstone and Amarine, or at least the best parts of both. And maybe that could be that might just be like, here's the template we're working of, etc. for the dungeon. Or it might mean like, are they talking about like hybrid expeditions as a part of a mutation system? My brain process that both ways. I actually had to listen to that part twice. So at its core, you can let me know what you think, because me asking you, why am I talking like a caveman? It is what it is. Welcome to the channel, everybody. Let's keep rocking and rolling. Territory control was a big part of this, and they said that a lot of what they're working on really is looking to kind of be delivered around the March time update. So you can start to think of, in terms of the big update, so 1.8, probably the winter update, 1.9, the March update. Maybe we'll see a 2.0 this summer, but again, no hard line roadmap for us. So we'll wait to talk more about that with you as it develops. But I'm very curious about how they do territory control, both in terms of rewards, but also I'm advocating that PvE have at least some percentage. You don't have to weight PvE very heavily. Like if you think of a test, like, PvE maybe just accounts for 10% of the overall score, and PvP still accounts for 90, but at least PvEers are, I don't know, contributing a little bit more than they do already. Again, that would need to be PTR'd, and you do not have to agree with me on that. That's perfectly fine. But they're also confirmed that they're also working on more expeditions, but these are actually going to tie in with the Varangian Knights. The Varangian Knights is this kind of mystery that we're seeing evolve. And honestly, here's my random and wild speculation time, everyone. Just heads up that if we are getting to and building up to a 2.0, the Varangian Knights might be a key aspect of that story, unless they decide to save them for later and continue to have their presence felt. So as another faction of enemies that are existing on Eternum, we'll have to see how that plays out. Obviously, we're exploring more. I haven't finished the Brimstone Sands expedition stuff, or the whole Brimstone Sand storyline, so there is a potential that maybe I'm missing out a few key pieces, but we are seeing them slowly expand over Eternum, and having some expeditions with them as kind of a key aspect will be really cool to see in the long run. They then talk about obviously more improvements come to the group finder. They kind of detailed this out. We covered it here in the dev vlog section, how they were kind of talking about like a 1.1 and ultimately getting to a 2.0. I think having something always up, I think being able to list groups that are doing other content, like, portals, and, like if you just want to do open world content as well, I think that's going to be a key aspect. Hopefully that also then pairs well into the raid concept and the raid, like a, group finder, raid finder, UIs. Being able to set roles, I think, is really kind of cool. And honestly, I hope back into the loadouts, the gear management section, that we get that all integrated together, because that would be really, really, really freaking good. Really. How many times can he say really? Let's count them off. And finally, another confirmation of Transmog making their way into this game. These are a lot of really big items. We've already had mounts confirmed, so no real reason to hash that, but this sounds like this is their focused trajectory right now. And here, what I would say is that Scott in the video talks about how things aren't easy and hard. He thinks of in terms of time, because some things are easy, but they take a lot of time. Some things are hard, but they don't take that much time. How do we start to think about this in terms of time and our impact on that? Their impact on it in terms of development, and then our impact as feedback and that process goes. And so this is where I always kind of bring in my dev structure of thinking of things, especially in gaming, in terms of 6, 9, 12, and then 18 months cycles. Like how long, what's kind of time frame to turn around. Personally, everything I'm vibing on here, and this is again pure speculation, we will have to wait and see, in this regards, but I would venture to bet we're actually thinking and talking about the next 6 months. So sometime by I would assume the update would be called the 1.8 update, 1.9 update, being that we're on 1.7 now. That's kind of where I'm starting to vibe off of what he's putting out and what they're willing to share, with some long-term goals also sprinkled in. I don't know if we're going to get the raid in the spring, but that'd be a really excellent thing to have as an addition to the game itself. Now, with no official roadmap, that means we do not yet know where this might all slot in, and they might continue on kind of 2 months updates, 3 months updates. Really, we're going to be all waiting and seeing. They go into talk about territory control, crafting, and the upcoming events. And I'm gonna focus the rest of this video on kind of the upcoming events of what you guys need to know. But I do want to talk about a little bit of my disappointment. Personally, like one of the things that I need to get back on the New World to Go podcast. I've been a guest on there before. The guys from Studio Loot have been guests on my podcast, Epic Loot Radio, which you guys should totally check out both podcasts. Links in the description. Go subscribe wherever audio podcasts are found, or join in live Wednesdays over on Ginger Prime. That's where we do the show. You can bring your questions, your thoughts, your answers, your topics. That's going to be what that's for. But one of the frustrations is like they didn't talk about post XP progression, post at level 20 progression for weapons, or essentially kind of bonus experience for PvE in the open world. Like, those are 3 key things that I really, really want to see in this game. Namely, when you look at Brimstone Sands, you're doing quests, they give XP, but that XP is unfortunately hitting the floor. It does nothing for you as a player, and it could be anything. It doesn't necessarily need to be kind of the aptitude system that we see within Crafting and Gathering, but I think that would be a really nice translation into that system. Same thing with the weapons. Doesn't need to give you more power or more points, but it could be some kind of focused orb or focused drop for that weapon itself. All things are really interesting, as long as like you're not just seeing XP hit the floor. And that's just something that I personally find frustrating in MMOs when that does happen. So we see quests and we see all these things rewarding XP, not really going anywhere. I would have loved for them to ask. And I know that the reason why is, like, whenever they come into my show, they kind of laugh, because that is something that I keep beating the drum to. And I'll continue to beat that drum because I think it adds value. I don't need it to be efficient. Just for anybody out there already typing up why this is a bad idea, I don't need it to actually be efficient. I just need it to exist. That, or they could always just pivot the XP into some kind of other type of reward, you know, territory control reward or something like that. I don't know. I mean, when I say control, I mean territory standing, not control. That would be broken AF. Anyhow, they go on, like I said, to talk about crafting and territory control in a much more, and combat changes, like wanting to continue to work on improving block. I'm really for that. I really like being able to block build as a tank. And essentially right now they realize how it's not viable, because you get people focusing in on that block to take right out of block break. So there's things that they're working on. They're definitely, I think, moving in the right direction, talking about how things are kind of evolving and some of their plans to counteract it. But it's going to be a forever evolving process when it comes down to how combat and how it all works together. And that's not a bad thing. That can actually be a very good thing in the long run. At that point, like, I think that's really my only kind of frustration. I would have loved to still seen a roadmap, especially from here on out. Like, I can totally understand the delay in the leaderboards, because my personal view, especially with how much content we already did get, like, if it was really like there's no zone, like, ultimately I'm like, I think they put the priorities in the right spot. But I think when it comes down to it, I would have loved to see a roadmap. We don't need to see it. That's something I actually fight against the urge, but I think there's a value in a roadmap to start to look at and point to, especially as we start hearing about these really cool things. Because now the question is going to be, well, when is it? And there's perfectly fine to take a break, but it'd be really cool if you're like, hey, Brian, did the new zone, had a lot of fun, going to go play, something else for this winter. Not a problem. I could tell you, like, hey, by the way, be sure to come back and check out spring, because bop, is on its way. And that's what a roadmap gives me as a content creator to give you. Now, in terms of events, though, the final thought here for the video itself, events. They've got the Return to Eternum, or Returnum event kicking off. Now, how this is going to be structured is, it sounds like, at least from my understanding, again, a lot of data. It's an interesting kind of game set. They kind of have rules and Twitch drops, and it's going to be a whole thing. Big streamers are all getting part of it. They can bring in other content creators, but those servers are specifically going to be locked to these kind of teams, ultimately opening up those servers once the event concludes. But they have various different objectives and goals, all working towards, I guess, the domination, the control. I don't know what we're going to call it, but that's essentially kind of an event that's going on. Obviously, for a start, also kicking off on the 2nd. We still have more information that they haven't yet provided, and if it's already been pushed out there, I haven't seen the news post today in terms of it. So at the time of this recording, if they've already posted it, I'll be sure to give you guys updates. The time you're watching this, it's already posted. Be sure to check the news section here on the channel. I'll keep you guys up to date on any frequently asked questions and what you need to know about Fresh Start, as that's going to kick off next week. I have absolutely no freaking clue as to what is going to happen as it goes to that. We're really excited to see it. I just put out my current player report. You guys can check that out as well. That actually breaks down and hopefully demystifies the numbers and tells you how good or bad the game is doing. Guess what? It's doing pretty good. Anyway, all that being said, I appreciate you guys for spending some time with me today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully I'll see you in my next one. But until then, take care.